Mrs. Harrison here,
And Mr. M.
and today we are learning to do two things. With me, we'll be learning to segment words into syllables or parts and to blend syllables or parts into words.
And then with me, we'll be learning how to describe the kick-off part of our story. We'll be using words from our last story read last week by Miss Bess, Edward the Emu.
Some words have many parts or syllables, like the word zookeeper. Zoo, keep, up. How many sounds or parts did you hear in zookeeper? Let's do it again. Zoo, keep, up. That was 3 parts in the word zookeeper. But then some words only have 1 part, like the word snake. 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 Did you see? We only had 1 part to that word. Let's practice with some other words from our book, Edward the Emu. Emu. Can you say how many parts of that word that you heard? Emu. What about tomorrow? Tomorrow. There was 3 parts of that word. What about, there's lots of visitors at the zoo. Visitor. Another one with 3 parts to the word. Edward. Edward. How many parts in the word Edward? There's 2. Amusing. That was that word that we learnt a little while ago, wasn't it? Amusing. Amusing. There is 3 parts to the word amusing. Now we're going to do it another way, where I'm going to give you the parts or the syllables of the word, and I want you to try and tell me which word I am saying. So let's start with new. If we put those 2 sounds together, what would we get? Emu. If you said emu, that would be right. What about tomorrow? Tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Okay, now it's time for us to practice retelling our story. If you haven't heard the story of Edward the Emu, please go back to the last video and watch it now. Today, I'm not going to read the whole story again. Instead, we're going to practice retelling the story using our own words. Let's have a look at the start of our book. Edward the Emu. Alright, so I remember that Edward was bored of being an emu. He wanted to try being a different animal. So he snuck out of his cage and pretended to be a seal. But then he heard someone say that they liked the lion. So guess what? The next day he snuck out of his cage to pretend to be a lion. Then he heard someone say that they liked the snake. So guess what? He snuck out of his cage and the next day he was a snake. After he was a snake, he heard someone say that they liked the emu at the zoo. So he went back to his cage, but there was another emu there. Her name was Edwina. Edwina said that Edward was the best thing at the zoo. And look, I can see they both have really big grins. Do you remember that word from last week? Our special word grin, which means to have a really big smile. Okay, so I told the story again in my own words. Remember, stories all have parts like characters and settings. Can you think what the characters in our story today were? Yeah, that's right, they were Edward and Edwina and the snake and the lion and the man at the zoo. Can you think what the setting of our story today was? It was the zoo. Today we're going to talk about the kick-off part of the story. The kick-off is what gets the story started. Let's see if we can find the kick-off in our story. The kick-off can be funny, or it can be scary, or it can be a problem. The kick-off in today's story is funny. Let's think about the start of our story and see if you can think what the funny kick-off was. That's right. It was when Edward snuck out of his cave and pretended to be a seal. Let's put our kick-off picture right here. Next time you read a story, think about what kicks off the story. Was it a problem? Was it something funny? Or something scary that started the story? You can practice retelling stories to your family using your own words